do this every year, and I have 11 questions on this quiz. I told the class that if anyone in here gets 8 of these 11 right, I'll buy you dinner at the Armadillo Grill. I owe 1 dinner out of 150 students. And they're not hard questions. They're questions that have nothing to do with biblical scholarship. There's nothing scholarly about this exam, so I'm not asking complicated things that require a lot of jargon and back. It's basic information about the New Testament, just to see, what do they know? And so just to give you an example, I start off by asking them, how many books are in the New Testament? Well, basic, wrong, but thank you for playing. So the answer is actually 27. This is an easy answer. And the reason it's easy, I explained to them, the reason it's easy is this. When you think about the Bible, you think about God. When you think about God in the New Testament, you think about the Christian God. And when you think about the Christian God, you think about the Trinity. And what is 27? It's 3 to the 3rd power. 3 times 3 times 3, 27. It's a miracle. And so we go from there. So my next question to them is, in what language were these books written? Now, this is very interesting. About, a third to a half of the students think that the answer is Hebrew. And I'm never quite sure why they think Hebrew. I suppose it's because when you watch all these shows on Discovery Channel or History Channel, and it's anything having to do with the Bible, even if it's about the New Testament, they're always flashing up these Hebrew things in the background. And so I guess you think Hebrew, Jesus is a Jew, Hebrew, Jewish language, must be Hebrew, right? Wrong. It's not Hebrew. This year, maybe only 4 or 5 thought that the answer was English. Right. So the answer to that one is Greek. The New Testament was originally written in Greek. And so I explained to them that in the Roman Empire, Greek was the lingua franca. It was the language people spoke, so that educated people in the Roman world learned Greek. Just as today, if you go to Europe, it doesn't matter whether you're in France or in Italy or in Germany, you can get by on English. Well, back in the Roman Empire, you could get by on Greek. And so that gives me a chance to talk to them about Alexander the Great and how the Roman world became influenced by Greek culture. So I'm using this quiz in order to teach them a few things that are kind of basics about the New Testament. Now, I do throw in a few curveballs on this exam because I don't want to buy any dinners. So one of the questions I ask is, what was the Apostle Paul's last name? And invariably somebody will say, of Tarsus. Right, okay, Paul of Tarsus. Yeah, okay, good enough. That works. But the point of that question is that I want them to know that most people in the ancient world didn't have last names. People had only a first name. That's why in the New Testament, you have all these people with the same name, and you have to identify them in some way. So you have all these Marys in the New Testament. And whenever there's a Mary, they'll tell you which Mary it is. It's Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary Magdalene. Mary of Bethany. And they're all these Marys. And so you have to know which one it is because they didn't have last names. The reason I need to teach this to my students is because they think that with Jesus Christ, and so I have to tell you, it's not Jesus Christ born to Joseph and Mary Christ. It's not his last name. The word Christ